So before we start diving into the walk cycle, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the poses that we'll be positioning and using to create the walk. So the first image in your reference images folder is walk cycle poses 01, and we can make this a bit bigger. You can see that we have what looks like 8 poses or 9 poses. It's really just 4 major keys. The first and most important is the contact pose, and this is where the leading foot first contacts the ground at the heel, smacks into the ground on the recoil. This is the low point in the walk. Move through in the passing position. This is the midpoint. Then we reach the high point, just preceding the next contact position, and then the pattern repeats identically, and that's it. So once you establish your contact positions, that's really done a lot of the work. Let's look at this third image and you'll see what I mean. How once you create the first contact pose, it dictates the position of the second contact pose and the stride and the distance that your character can cover in the walk cycle. And each contact pose should have the same base to be a proper cycle. Head should be at the same level, body at the same level, and the arms, although they've moved into opposite positions, should more or less occupy the same basic. Unless your character has a limp or is defective in some way, then these 2 poses should be the same. So that's essentially the structure. If we look at the entire sequence roughly overlaid, you can see how it seems to work. So, for example, follow the right foot and you can see how it arcs nicely to the complete step. And the same with the foot on the other side. You can pick any given body part here if you can see through the layers. And watch how the arms arc through. The head in particular, we have like a nice bouncing ball action on the head. We want these to be nice curved arc patterns all the way through. So that is it. These are the 4 primary poses. Okay, now when we begin to animate a walk cycle, we have 2 approaches. The way that you would probably begin walking, and the way most animators begin when they do their first walk cycle, is to animate the character walking across the screen. The other way is to have the character walking in place, and I'm going to show you the difference between those 2. Inside your project folder, in the Chapter 5 walk cycle, there are 2 SWF or SWF files, walking across the screen and walking in place, and if you open them, you'll see the comparison. So on the right side, we have our guy walking across the screen as he would in a normal live action shot. On the left side of the screen, we have him cycling in place, and you got to imagine that the background is moving behind him. So the ideal way to animate, I think, I much prefer to animate in place because you can simply loop the walk cycle over and over again. And you can move the background at a different speed and all kinds of wonderful stuff. The only problem with that is it's a little bit harder if it's your first time to do a walk cycle. Anytime you're using a new program, even or doing certainly a walk for the first time, I would always recommend that we do it across the screen, simply because you're not having to worry about spacing the feet. A lot of the business is taken care of for you. And it also allows you to see the arcs and to see how your character is actually working in real space instead of what I would think about as imaginary space here. This would be something that we will do after we've done the walk crossing the screen. We're going to do the less difficult one first, and then we'll do the walk cycle in place after that.